Hey guys, good to see you again. Today I want to talk about percentile rankings and how we find them. So let's go ahead and get a problem up here. Let's say that IQ tests being normally distributed. I cannot write with this pen. Sorry about that. Uh, have a mean of, let's say, 100 and a standard deviation. I'm running out of room. That says deviation of 15. Okay. Now, given that information, we're going to look at scores that are at a certain percentile. Um, I'll show you two different ways. One will be the old-fashioned way, I like to call it. And then I will show you on the TI-84 calculator, TI-84 Plus, actually. So let's look at some example problems given that mean and standard deviation. Let's suppose we want to find what would be the top score in the 75th percentile. Basically, what score would be in the 75th percentile? So let's look at the old-fashioned way. I'm sure you're familiar with this formula. And actually, I'll change colors here so you can kind of keep track. Uh, let's go red. Be like Bob Ross, a little crimson red. So we're going to use that and plug in our information. X is going to represent your score, the actual test score that's going to be in the 75th percentile. What we need to use is to find that Z from our table, the probability. That way we can actually make our calculation. 75th percentile, I'm going to change that to a decimal. So when I pull up this 75th percentile, let me find that table here. Okay, I'm going to look through and find the closest thing I can to 0.75, which I believe it's going to be right here, the 0.07486. Okay, that is closer to 0.75 than this guy right here. So we're going to use that Z score, which is 0.67. Just kind of line it up here. You got 0.67. So I'm going to go back and plug that into my Z. So you got 0.67 equals. I don't know what X is going to be. That's what we're trying to calculate. Our mean was actually the 100. So we'll go ahead and plug that in for X bar. Standard deviation was 15. Now, we got to use a little bit of algebra to isolate that variable. What I like to do is kind of like ratio and proportion. So take your Z times your standard deviation. So we'll go ahead and calculate that. I'm going to use my calculator I got on hand right now. 0.67 times 15. That equals 10.05. So you got 10.05 equals x minus 100. Now we can use simple algebra, add 100 to both sides, and we figure out a test score that is going to be the 75th in the 75th percentile. It's the top score. So we got 110.05. Now, you got to think this is going to be 0.67 standard deviations away from our mean. And since that's a positive z, obviously the score is going to be higher than our mean. So it kind of looked like this. If I drew it up, Dr. Darbro's way better than me at this part. So if that was my mean, okay, 100, okay, 0.67 would probably be about right in here. All right, I really couldn't put it on there. So that's my z-score. Okay, we're looking at this. So everything to the left of that, you got to think all the scores out of the whole population would be to the left of that. And that 110.05, okay, that's the top of the 75th percentile. Some people would probably say, oh, let's just go 110. Let's just round to the nearest whole number. I just kind of leave it alone. It is what it is. And if someone said round to the nearest tenth, I round to the nearest tenth. Whatever the question asks for, just do it. Okay? If you're getting this as an answer, great. All right? Now, here's another problem. And I'll go back to these the first example here in a minute. Let's say we get a question that says, what would be the lowest score one could get that would be, sorry, I teach math, not English, would be in the top, let's go 5%. I'm just making these up anyway, so you got to think backwards. You know, you go back. Oh, that was really crappy. There we go. So if we're looking for the top 5%, we're looking to the right. Okay. Again, here's our mean, which is 100. So this one you got to think backwards with. If we're looking for the top 5, okay, here's the top 5 from here over. Okay. To successfully figure out that score, we need to find as though it was to the left. So if we're looking at the top 5%, what percentage is to the left of that score? Well, obviously there'd be 95%. So I want to find the score that's going to be the top score in the 95th percentile. So you almost have to reword this question. So top 5%, we're looking for the 95th percentile score. All right. So what have you? We'll do this. Okay, we'll set up the formula again. Z equals x minus x bar over standard deviation. Okay, so change that 95% to a decimal. Okay, we would get 0.95. Okay, we need to find the z-score that relates to that. And this, you got to get real close. Sometimes you're right smack dab in the middle. Okay, well, here's 0.9495. That's pretty daggone close to 0.95. But at the same time, we got 0.9505. There are several different theories on this. Since these two, and this is kind of like a rare occasion, I'm going to go exactly in between these two. So right here we got, this one's 1.64 and the next one's 1.65. And I was never really taught this till recently. So, and it makes sense. I'm going to use 1.645 as my Z. And then plug everything else in. Our mean was 100. That was the mean of all the IQ test scores. And then we got a standard deviation of 15. Again, we can cross multiply. All right, so I'll just punch in, plug it in. 1.645 times 15. That gives me 24.675. Set that equal to x minus 100. I again isolate the variable. Always tell the kids, do the opposite, be fair. They still make fun of me for it, but it works. Hey, whatever it takes. So the lowest score in the top 5%, or the 95th percentile score, is going to be 124.68675, if you will. So that makes a lot of sense there. Now, let's go back to the first problem. All right. Now on the calculator. This is so cool. All right. On the calculator, what you'd want to do is, if you want to calculate the score that's in the 75th percentile, all right, instead of doing it the old-fashioned way, let's use a little bit of technology. I'm like a high-tech redneck now. So I'm going to hit second, vars, and you'll see this menu. Now, when I first started learning this program, I was trying to actually click on, like, I want to go to that one. It ain't going to happen. So what you need to do is, like a regular calculator, let's just scroll down. You want to scroll down to inverse norm. All right. Once you scroll down to that or hit the number 3, you'll go to this. All right. Now, for some odd reason, I must have done a problem before. We're looking for the 75th percentile. Now, that percentile is actually an area. Okay, we're looking to the area of the left of a certain score. So since we're looking for the 75th, I need to punch in 0.75. All right, my mean is 100. I'm going to change this to 15. I can just punch in 15. And then scroll down and hit paste. And then you'll see that. Now, you still have to hit enter again to get the actual test score. But you get something very, very, very close. This is actually more precise than using the table, the Z table. Okay, here's the difference. Okay, accurate, close. Okay, but both will work, especially, if you don't have a TI-84, you can do this method. It's good to know both. Now, going to the next problem that we just covered, the top 5%. All right, let's go to it here. Now, remember what we had to do. We still have to do that for the TI-84, okay? Because it's calculating everything to the left, like the Beyonce song. All right, top 5%, you got to think 95th percentile. All right, if I was looking for the top Okay, what percentile would I be looking for? 92. Okay, the 92nd percentile. All I'm doing is just taking this away from 100. You know, because what's the whole area under the curve equal? 100%. Holy cow. Okay, so we're looking at the top 5% or the 95th percentile score. So I'm going to go ahead and do that on the graphing calculator. Let's bring it back up. All right, we can clear that or whatever. So we go second, vars, which is actually right here is distribution. So you'll see that. Go to inverse norm. I'll just hit the number 3. Takes me right to it. Now you can actually type on your keyboard on the computer. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to push the button. So I'm going to go 0.95 for my area. Everything else is the same. My mean and standard deviation didn't change, which is cool. Okay. Hit enter. Paste it. And then hit enter again. And we come up with my lowest score in the top 5%, or the top score in the 90, which is the 95th percentile. All right, so we got 124.67. You know, I could show you this right here. Boom. Now we were a little bit more accurate on this one because we got 1.645 going for us. We split the difference. Looking at that table here, I'll pull that up one more time. Okay. So there's the 1.645. Okay, what's between 1.64 and 1.65? 1.645. Do. So anyway, guys, that's how you use the graphing calculator. Again, just to pull it back up. If I wanted to find a score in the 92nd percentile, I'll just go second vars. Okay, inverse norm. 92nd percentile, let's just change that to 0.92. Scroll down and paste and hit enter. And boom goes the dynamite. So hopefully this little tutorial helped. And until next time, take care of yourself. Later.